interesting. I haven't seen that before. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. And then him splitting in then all of a sudden you see the double lightsaber, which is very representative to Darth Maul. Huh?
Him slowing down the lightsaber is spinning too.
Yeah, that was impressive. Like Alex said, this made me afraid of Darth Vader. Also, too, I like how Obi-Wan winds up pulling the rug from Vader because I like the flashback sequence where Vader is actually just reminiscing of his past, reflecting back on his past between as a Padawan and versus going against Obi-Wan. So I liked how they did that episode. I just wish they would have done a deepfake for his character because he's not 17 years old trying to learn. This is a dude around my age.
I was like, oh, that's a grown ass little boy, grown ass teenage boy, or however old he's supposed to be.
And I heard this is a theory. I don't know how much I support it, but it's the theory of the understanding that when Vader was thinking about it, he was seeing himself as if he was still the Padawan in that moment.
Mm.
He didn't see himself as the master yet. He still saw the memory. And so in his mind, it's the aged version of him without the burns, without all the stuff, without the wiring, without the pain. And him feeling like he could take Obi-Wan. It was more, old Kung Fu movies do this all the time. It's the fight before the fight that's here. Mm. And so when he's imagining himself fighting, it's himself in his current state, but that bright-eyed Padawan. Because you're like, you notice there were no ships flying in the background. There were no major traffic, no major things the whole time. It was just them. Like no other Jedis came out to watch this. It was just those two. So in his mind, if he's looking at it, because you had a lot of those moments where they're flashing back, and him and Obi-Wan were kind of flashing into it themselves. And even when, Obi-Wan is basically teaching him, it's like your ambition to win is the thing that's going to be your undoing. And then he says, mercy. Then of course, Obi-Wan, and then, of course, his response is, well, no, what he says to Vader, what he says to Anakin at that point, we're here to protect life, not to take it. Mm. He says, well, mercy doesn't defeat enemies. And it's just like that's in his mind because that's Vader speaking through that vision. It's that understanding that mercy doesn't do this. Admit defeat. You've been defeated. I've taken your weapon. All those things sound very Vader-esque. That doesn't sound like early Anakin. That sounds like a very grown Vader who's trying to kill Anakin so that he fully becomes Vader.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I can get that now. That theory does make sense in a way.
I could see it as like not necessarily I thought it was a memory at first, but I can see it. It's like a mental battle between them, just their inner souls having this conflict. I was still, even though he did look much older, it still made me so happy to see Hayden Christensen. Like I started tearing up. I'm like, it's Anakin. You've gotten so much crap over the years for that role, and all of a sudden everyone loves you now, just out of the blue. I call fakeness on a lot of people for liking him, but whatever.
You can change your mind.
You can't. That is absolutely true. I'm just.
And the words of Rocky, you can change. People can change.
People can change. This is, I was like, I always liked him, and now everyone likes him all the time. I was like, I'm kind of a hipster like that, but it was just so awesome to see him again. I started tearing up. Look at Hayden Christensen go. I hope we keep seeing more of him.
Well, he's supposed to be in that Ahsoka Tano series.
There we go. Get your money, Hayden. Get your money.
He's well worth it. I mean, I think the biggest problem with the prequels was the script writing and stuff like that. It wasn't so much as him. It was just the direction that old George wanted to go in and everything. And it was just bad script writing. Yeah. But, I like seeing him back again as Vader and everything. So then, of course, you wind up seeing Layla. She's actually trying to get things moving and hot wire stuff to make them get out of the area as well. So And then, of course, go get her a ladder. Then you also see the other stuff that winds up happening within this episode. I thought it was a pretty good episode, but do you want to go on ahead and just break down into episode 6 now?
I do have one question. Why, if you're trying to protect the people and you have a bomb and your robot is right there, you know your robot's going to probably die, but you can throw this bomb and deter a bunch of people. Instead of standing there and fight until you get shot, just so you can have Obi Wan running around going, Tell her, getting distracted for 10 minutes. Just throw the bomb and run. Other than
she got shot though.
Well, yes. That's what I'm saying. Why stay there that long for all that? I know why they did it, but we ain't gonna talk about that yet. But I know why they did it, but it just felt like it was one of those moments where it kind of reminded me of how in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, they stood there for way too long waiting for Wanda to show up instead of just going through the door.
Yeah,
like those are things when it feels like they intentionally slow something down to get to a dramatic moment. It's like hit me with it in a surprise. Don't telegraph it 5 minutes before you do it.
Yeah,
right. I can see your point on that.
I can dig that. Yeah, that is true. Hollywood, movies, TV shows, they all love the dramatic moments. And I think people are starting to realize, like, hey, it actually doesn't make sense. And it's kind of stupid that they would just stand there and watch something happen. But yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I also wanted to point out that flashback Reva had of Anakin killing all the younglings. Like, that's heartbreaking. Every time they show flashbacks of Order 66, it never gets easier to watch. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Just people are getting brutally murdered, including children. And how they show Anakin just straight up stab her in the gut. I'm like, my God. And then for him to do it again at the end of the episode, he's like, where's the place I stabbed you last time? Right there.
It's like, oh, there's already a hole?
Oh, how convenient.
Convenient.
And I'm just like, I feel like, though, with being stabbed by a lightsaber, I think that's why they call it a real elegant weapon, because it immediately cauterizes the wound so that, no blood and guts come leaking out. It's just, it's instantly sealed up, right? Or something like that. So
basically,
you would have a better chance surviving a lightsaber to a gut than like a sword or a blaster, so I was digging it. And Reva was the queen, so I didn't want her to die yet.
And you see, I thought she was going to actually die at the last episode and everything, especially when she pissed Vader off enough. But at first, I'm like, why did Vader just leave her there? I thought that he would actually take him with her and do something to her. But although I think in his mind, though, too, he might actually think that, she's dead and everything. She's physically dead. Not only is she physically dead, but she's also mentally dead to me, because of what she tried to do. So I can actually see it in that kind of context, but at the same time, it's like you have someone laying there that could possibly survive. You might want to go on ahead and do something about that, Vader, but nah.
I kind of saw it as he saw her as so little of a threat, and the fact that she has all this rage against him for killing all of her friends, yet she still couldn't do anything. I felt like that was more punishing than killing her. He's just like, no, actually, I'm just going to leave you here with a hole in your stomach because you're pathetic, and no matter how hard you try, you'll never avenge your friends. How stupid you must feel right now. So I'm just going to let you sit with that, and just left her. It's just like, I felt like that was a worse way.
Worth his time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
I can see that.
You did all that to try to kill me, and look how simple I just beat you. So, girl, just lay there.